Welcome everyone. Let us talk about the economic problems, that of choices and scarcity. So it is all filled up. You remember, the economics is basically optimizing your inputs into outputs. With least amount of resources, can you optimize the experiences, habits, and your choices as far as your consumption pattern is concerned? So the problem choice is all about scarcity. What gets produced, how it is being produced, or who gets what of the produces. Resources are land, labor, and capital, or should I say, machineries, men, machine, and materials per se. Now, what are we looking out here? We're talking about allocation of resources thereby. If we want to go around with this men, material, and capital, what is my allocation and what are my outputs that goes around here? So these people are cutting down the timbers, probably um, utilizing cements and probably building some kind of infrastructure or housing facility. The basic question: what gets produced, how it is produced, and who gets what is being produced per se. The economic problem is all about scarcity, is all about choices. Capital is in scarce things that themselves produce, that are then used in the production of other goods and services. Factors of productions or factors, the inputs into process of production, another word for resources thereby. What are we looking into it? The process that transforms scarce resources into useful goods and services. Inputs or resources, anything provided by nature or previous generation that can be used directly or indirectly to satisfy human requirements, human wants. So yes, we are talking about capital. Yes, we are talking about production. Yes, we are talking about inputs or resources. Anything that needs to be done across. This comes the final output, the usable product. Remember, this is what we are looking. Input is to output through production and capital. So, is it a one-person economy? Nearly all basic decisions that characterize a complex economy must be made in a simple economy also. Yes, you also make a decision. I am sure you must not be having unlimited supplies of capital in your purse, right? Or in your accounts. And how do you utilize it? What kind of lifestyle do you utilize it? What kind of choices that you go around it? It is just the extrapolation of an individual person's expenditures into a national economy. So that's what works in a complex economy, large economy, works in the simple economy too. Opportunity cost. The concept and the constraint of choices, the scarcity are the central to the discipline of economics per se. Opportunity costs are the best alternative that we give up for. Or to forego, what choices do we have made? What are the decisions that we have undergone through? We are talking about work. People are studying themselves, educating, time spent in the classroom. Is it an opportunity cost? Probably yes. You are studying or equipping yourself for a future higher income. Or probably you could have done shun away the education and start earning straight away. So there is an opportunity cost. Specializations, exchanges, and competitive advantages. The theory of comparative advantages. Ricardo's theory says that specialization and free trade will benefit only trading partners, even those that may be absolutely more efficient producers per se, and how to go around it. This needs to be understood. What my absolute advantages is, a producers has an absolute advantages of over another in the production of a good and services. If it can produce the product using fewer resources, means fewer cost, lowering your cost. That means less of an input cost and higher of a revenue. That becomes an absolute advantages. Why? Because the rest of the production, your competitors will be producing the same product, same quality product with a higher input cost. So that needs to be understood. What is then comparative advantage? A producer has a comparative advantages vis-a-vis the competitors over production of a good or services if it can produce that product at a lower opportunity cost, and that becomes a comparative advantages. So giving you an example of daily production, let's say we are talking about woods and logs. Colleen is building 10 each, whereas Bill is producing or procuring 4 and 8. So what is my comparative advantages? Now monthly production would be 10 into 15 days probably. With no trade is 150, and this becomes for Bill it becomes 80, and for this becomes For bill also becomes 80 altogether. The total production is 230. So monthly specializations work around here. Now Bill scores a 270 when he or she has only one specialty item of bushels, whereas Collins has also a score of 270, but there are two products that comes into the mind. Now this is monthly production after specialization. This is monthly production without specialization, and this remains the daily production as the case might be. So monthly use after trade, and who makes things happen? Look, Colin is doing what? So 170 logs and 170 of bushels, food bushels, whereas Bill is also producing 100 each of either of them. So there is a comparative advantages that needs to be taken into understanding what kind of gains comes from for Collins and what kind of gains comes from Bills. Who gets specializations altogether and who doesn't, and what happens in that scenario, what is the monthly production without any trade and daily production schedule thereby. So yes, we are talking about weighing present and expected future cost and benefit. What we trade off is today's cost vis-a-vis future benefits in small way or the other way around altogether. An example is probably if you have $10 in your pocket today, or would you love to have the same $100, let's say next year, today itself, same date. In 1 year, that $100 would it be actually be costing you $10? Probably more than 50 or $60. But today you go empty-handed. So see the trade-off of opportunity cost, the capital goods and the consumer goods. Goods produced for personal or immediate consumption. That is what consumer goods is all about. It investment, the process of using the resources to produce those capital goods or the consumer goods. What are my investment thereby? So because the resources are scarce, the opportunity cost of every investment in capital is forgotten due to present consumption. That is what we need to understand. The capital goods and the consumer goods. What is my investment? What I can do to produce new capital, immediate requirements to produce more capital, and that is where we would to like to invest, have a greater, higher return. Consumer goods, goods that have been produced and probably for immediate consumption thereby. So the productivity possibility, production possibility frontier. Production possibility frontier, PPF, if I may say so, is a graph that shows all combination of goods, services that can be produced if all society's resources are used effectively. This is what the graph is all about at PPF. Production possibility frontiers. What are we looking into it? On the y-axis is your capital goods. On the x-axis is your consumer goods. Now look at the graph. At this point, how many consumer goods have been done? At this point, how many goods would be done? What should be the price point out here so that consumer gets much less of a penetration? At this price point, more penetration happens around it, and this is all your opportunity cost. So look what we are looking about 1100 to 1300. The price point changes from 550 to 800. That's a simple price point that goes around here, and this is your opportunity cost that you want to go around it. Do we want to push down the price so as to make huge number of sales perhaps? And how do I go through unemployment during economic downturn or probable recession? Industrial plants run less than their total capacity when there is an unemployment of labor and capital. We are not producing all that we could have perhaps produced. Waste management, mismanagement are the results of firms operating below its potential, as the case might be. This is nothing but inefficiency, wastage, and mismanagement. When people are working below their capacity, sometimes inefficiency results from mismanagement of the economy also, instead of mismanagement of the individual private firm. The efficient mix of output, to be efficient in economy, must produce what people want. That is what we require. We should be looking into it. It is what people want, we should produce. It's not what we have to make a sale, and that people has to like that thing. That is something which is unacceptable in the present economy. Now giving the negative slope and the opportunity cost, look at what is happening with the corn production. and the wheat production. Either you produce the corn or the wheat. This is the graph that comes around it. This is my opportunity because your land, farmland is more or less the same thing. You have the same amount of land, same amount of days, times, same amount of labor. Either you produce bushels of corns or bushels of wheat, and what goes around it. So inefficiency in misallocation of land farming around it. This is the marginal rate of transformation, the slope of production possibility frontiers. Economic growth and increase in the total output of an economy. It occurs when the society acquires new resources, when it learns to produce more using existing resources then and there. That is what economic growth is all about it. The economic problem. Recall the three basic questions facing all economic system. What get produced? How is it produced, and who gets that the produce altogether? So what to produce, who produces, and who consumes? Simple things. What produce, how did you produce it, and who consumes? So given scarce resources, how exactly do large complex societies go about answering these three basic questions? We talk about the command economies. Command economy is an economy in which the central government either directly focuses or indirectly sets the output target, income, prices, everything has been mandated and already been dictated to you people. Laissez-faire economy is a free market economy. It's frying economy. Everybody is doing whatever they wanted to do around it. Literally from the French allow them to do. An economy in which individual people, firm, pursue their own self-interest thereby without any directions from the federal government or the central government, or let me say there are no regulations to it. This comes the market, the institution from where the buyers and the sellers would be meeting all together, and there is an exchange that comes happen around it. This is what the market should be around it. Some markets are simple, some are complex, but all they involve is buyers and sellers engaging in the exchange. The behavior of the buyers and sellers in the laissez-faire economy determines what gets produced and how is it produced and who gets what. Consumer sovereignty, the idea that consumers ultimately dictate what will be produced or not produced by choosing what to purchase and what not to purchase, is all the consumer sovereignty is all about it. So, individual production decisions are free enterprises. Free enterprises, the freedom of individual starts, operate a private business altogether in search of more money. So, should I cultivate corns or should I cultivate wheat? Which will give me, fetch me more money? So that's the point that needs to be determined. Distribution of output, the amount that any household gets to depend on its income and wealth is what distribution of output is all about it. Income is the amount that the household earns, the money comes in. It comes in a number of ways: wages, salaries, interest, and probably investment, so on. Wealth is the amount that the household have accumulated over a period of time, over the past income, through saving, through inheritance. This is your wealth. Income is what you are earning altogether through wages, salaries, interest, investment. Wealth is how you accumulate those incomes over a period of time. So price theory is what we are looking at. New business arises each day. Some go out of businesses in response to the profit opportunities and losses thereby. In a free market system, the basic economic question is are answered without the help of the central government or the federal government. Plan, directives. This is what a free market economy means. The system is left to operate on its own without any outside interferences. Individual pursuing their own self-interest will go into the business, produce the products and services the people want. Others will decide whether to acquire skills, whether to work, whether to buy, whether to sell, whether to invest, whether to save the money that they have earned. The basic coordinating mechanism is price. Price. Price is the fundamental pivotal point that we are talking about it. Mixed system, markets and government, the difference between the command economies and laissez-faire economy in this pure form are enormous. In fact, this pure form does not exist in the world. All real systems are in some sense of mixed altogether. A little bit of directions come from the central government or the federal government. There are manipulation in terms of tax regime that takes places, the incentive that the government is going in. So it's a mixed system that we go around it. With this, I come to an end of, sorry, Just even a staunch defender of free enterprises system recognize that market systems are not perfect. First, they do not produce what the people want at the lowest cost. There are inefficiencies. Second, rewards income may be unfairly distributed, and some groups perhaps may be left out. Third, period of unemployment, inflation recurs. If with some degree of regularity, it happens too. So that is the reason why we should have some sort of control over the market in terms of mixed economy. With this, we come to an end of this presentation. Thank you.